What's up, you guys? This is Carrington on Between Realms podcast, a psychoanalysis of fandom culture and its effect on the individual in our community. And I'm super excited to be joined here today by two phenomenal friends. I have Malia here, who is a truly hilarious TikToker, and then Daniel, who is the phenomenal assistant composer behind the season 5 of Stranger Things. We're going to be digging into everything from fan theories, conformity gate, is it real, is it bullshit, everything all the way down to the psychology behind the people that hear sounds and then see visuals called synesthesia. So as most of you, including us, we have all been obsessed with season 5, volume 2 has come out. Now we have the finale. Everybody has been talking about it. I feel like volume 1 was a bit more well received than volume 2. And now we have conformity gate coming around the finale. We're going to be getting into everything, but the majority of what we're talking about today is the soundtrack behind this phenomenal show, because the show itself hinges so much on the music, from Running Up the Hill, which I'm dying to know if you're sick of yet. And just there are too many songs that will live in our memories, that will always remind us of the nostalgia of the last decade of our lives together. So come take a walk with me, and thanks for joining. To start, we were chatting a little bit before. You mentioned your dog's name is Bowie.
Yeah.
Is that after anybody in specificity?
Yeah, this dude named David Bowie.
Yeah. We will definitely be talking about David Bowie today. He connects to a few things within the show from season 1 to season 5. And then also, because this is a psychoanalysis, I cannot help but talk about the phenomenon that is synesthesia. So that will be at a segment at the end of this. And synesthesia is basically too much white or gray matter in the brain, where two senses their signals get mixed up, and there's at least more than 65 different combinations. But what we're specifically going to be talking about today is when you hear music and see visuals. And there's a lot of visuals that can go behind even just Stranger Things, and not even just that, the emotions that all of us feel when, to say it in a bit of an aggressive way, the emotions that are inflicted upon us by the music. If you were to watch these shows without any audio, I promise you would not feel the same way. So I guess we're just gonna kind of jump into it and start hounding Daniel here with questions, starting off with Fernando. Right before volume 1 came out, Millie Bonbon, I believe. So her and 10 out of 10 actress behind Karen Wheeler, Welcome Down Wheeler. The scars that she had at the finale, I was clapping for that alone. But they were putting Fernando all over their Instagrams. And then in the finale, we got Mike and Hopper sitting at that bench. Did that have any connection to the song? Was there anything in that, or am I reading too much into it?
I have no idea.
Okay, cool.
That was out of my my own world and what I did on the show. So, but I feel like if that's something speaking to you, then so be it. So be it.
So I guess, what did Fernando mean to you in that sense when you're putting it behind, just the scene that it was on and the promos that it was used for? That's such an intense scene of Karen trying to defend her daughter. And Ted tries to do something and doesn't really, but...
Yeah, Ted doesn't really do anything.
No.
on the show, or the whole entire season.
People really tried to hype him up too, and that was whatever. But yeah, Fernando, I think we were excited about. You had to work with a lot of pre-established songs. There were new songs that were peppered in this season, for specific scenes like Purple Rain, but Running Up the Hill, there were several songs that you had to continue to use, and they were remixed in different ways. So how did that work, working with the songs that were so integrated in the show?
Yeah, it was interesting, seeing, I always so I was a fan of the show before I started working on it, from seasons 1 to 4. And I've always wondered how and what the process was when you're writing around a specific music sync or track placement, and seeing my bosses work around Running Up the Hill was very I just learned so much. The amount of details that they had to really think about in order for it to sound and like feel smoothly going in between like original compositions and then back into like the track itself. So yeah, it was a fun learning experience, and I can just say that as a whole, working on the whole season, it was just like not intimidating, but just like surreal that I was like meeting Nora. Nora is the music supervisor, and that's what like she did that. She did the whole Purple Rain, like every Fernando, like that's all her. And like meeting her and talking to her like at least like once or twice a month when we all met during spotting sessions was also a very surreal thing to me. And like, wow, this is the person who like chose Running Up the Hill in season 4, and like this is the person who chose like all these like amazing music placements. So it was like a surreal experience in itself. And then yeah, just like seeing, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but watching the finale in the movie theater was also like a huge like wake up call to me that like, oh shit, like wait, can I cuss on here?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I cuss on everything.
I was like, oh shit, like people are like so deep in this show. And I don't know, it was just like a great experience overall. But yeah, shout out Nora, she's the best, and she was just amazing to like work with too.
Yeah. What else can you share about your experience? Like what day-to-day looked like? Like,
oh yeah.
You said you got to learn a lot about, so I guess when did you decide to go from the original to a mix? What kind of goes into how much do you even change? Like how far do you even go to change it?
Yeah, so just before I like dive into like details and stuff, like shout out to, Kyle Dixon and Michael Stein, who are the composers of the show. And I was very grateful and like thankful to like work with them. So shout out them. Shout out Carlos Ramirez, who was like my pretty much coworker every single day. He's based in Austin, Texas. And he's been their assistant since like seasons 2 or 3, I think. And shout out Henry, who started working with us during like when we were working on volume 2. So anyways, I had to shout them out because they're the team. They're the guys, especially Kyle and Michael. Like they are the legends. I can't say too much, but I just learned a lot as far as like how to like read a scene, what the scene needs, learning like what perspectives you're supposed to like really dial into. Like I think Michael and Kyle do a really great job in creating, like they did a great job overall creating the sound palette and the world of the show. Because of them, like synthesizers and all that are like at the forefront of any single like film, TV, media composer now. So they really put a staple into like, or like a landmark into music composition for film and TV history. So yeah, I learned a lot. I really learned how to like understand the shape of a scene, like I mentioned, learn the ins and outs of like what really goes into it, the time, the amount of like versions for like, I don't know, even 30 seconds of something could really take like a few days to like really dial in and finish.
To really, I mean, not to make the meme, but like to really get in it and just like spread the whole thing out and go note by note, tick by tick all the way through.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier how it makes a big difference for you to look at visuals, not just looking at the sound line on a computer. What visuals came to mind for you when you were working on these songs for season 5 of Stranger Things?
I think just what actually helps me get into the rhythm of things, like I said, like Carlos, the other assistant, he's been working with Kyle and Michael for a few years now. And so like I was really like the new person on the team, and I had to like really acclimate and like get used to things really quickly. But I think what really helped visual wise working during season 5 was honestly going back, watching the old stuff, watching seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4, and also just like watching a lot of the stuff that like, I don't know, the Duffers were like influenced by, like the Goonies and like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Outfit was from the Goonies. Nightmare of Elm Street was all
like,
in there. The Mist.
Halloween, like all of that. Like I was talking about VHS, like my VHS collection. And
I love VHS
earlier.
collection. Mine lives at my grandmother's, and I miss it every day.
No, they're great relics, and like I really, during like our little preseason, which was pretty much just like getting used to like Kyle's and Michael's like system of like work and stuff, I really dialed into like the vibe of the show. I was watching all these 80s movies, listening to a bunch of 80s music, which I already did before, but I really dialed in. And going back to visuals, sometimes when I was like helping prep these sessions, or in between helping Kyle and Michael for these sessions, and when I mean sessions, I mean by like these scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
These scenes and stuff, I would watch like these 80s movies in between to just like still be in that realm, and also just like play D&D at the same time too.
Stay immersed. So you do play D&D.
I do, yeah.
How long have you been playing it?
On and off since the pandemic, I think. I think my first campaign was online with my friend Preston, and then I just recently started a new campaign with my roommates, and I love it.
How long do your campaigns normally run?
So the pandemic one ended pretty short just because it was just through Zoom. And this one, so far, it's been running for like 2 or 3 months. So
Sick. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, they run for a long time, so it makes sense in the show that
Do you play D&D?
My friends play it. I have been reading and researching it, but I haven't necessarily found a group for myself.
Oh, no.
So I've been invited, but that was right before like I moved out of my old city. So it was like that lost that opportunity, and I haven't found a group up in New York yet. So maybe I'll find one, maybe soon. But
Are you
like
familiar with like the classes or like the races and stuff? Do you play
for
D&D?
the most
I
part?
did one campaign once, and that was like a fever dream.
What was like your character?
I forget. Like, I was so new to it. It was like I was invited, and I just sat there, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm here." And it was basically my friend to the left at me. She was like, "This is what you're doing. Roll the
Here's your
dice."
D20.
And I'm like, "Okay." So
Whatever you say.
I was just there for the
vibes.
The vibes, you know. I was just So I played it, and I can say I played it, but I have no recollection of like what really happened.
We got to start like a remote campaign, I think.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It'd be a fun thing to
Find
do.
a way to run it like through a Discord channel or something like that. So transitioning from that, I mean, we'll get to the whole documentary and conformity gate, the bullshit that's behind that that's been honestly driving me a little bit insane. But the songs that, you know, first of all, going back to Bowie, not just your dog, but David Bowie, Heroes. I was recently watching a video from Straw Hat Goofy connecting that song back to season 1 when Will was pulled out of the water to a different version of Heroes by Peter Gabriel. I believe I have it written down. So how did it feel, I guess, the hand in the process of taking songs from previous seasons? Because I think that was done with at least one other song where you take something from a previous season 1 and remaster it into season 5. Was there a lot that was pulled that way? Not just Running Up the Hill, which was obviously one of the single most influential songs in all of Stranger Things, but Kids, I think, was also, that's what it was. I think Kids might have also been remastered in a way.
That was also like, going back to just like, I'm probably just going to keep saying that I've learned a lot because I have, but like it was really cool seeing how Kyle and Michael and just the team, how we, you know, took elements from really important themes from like the older seasons and making it very like refreshing. An example of that I really thought was really cool was the end credits I think, was it episode 6 or 7 where it was like I feel like they're gonna hate me for saying this or for getting like the name wrong, but I think it was either kids or teens or like the really like epic like action version of it.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a great example, and I realized that that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Again, like working on the show for like a year and a half, like things get so mixed up in my mind. Like
the timeline
is so crazy because we're working on like multiple episodes at the same time. I'm like jumping from like episode 6 to 4, or from like 4 to 7, or 3 to I don't fucking know. So it's like a lot of these scenes were very like, just the cues and the music are all like mixed in my head, but it was really just like inspiring seeing them make a new refreshing take on something that they've written like years ago and still making it sound like modern and like new. And I feel like what's really cool is just like the ones who know, like if you know, you know. And I think for those fans, they're like, hell yeah, that's sick.
No, absolutely. And I do feel like, I mean, the purpose behind that song choice is definitely to call back those memories in your brain. I mean, a lot of us have, it's easy when you're trying to remember something. You're like, okay, I remember the shirt smelled like this, or the closet smells like that when I go to my grandmother's house, or at my grandmother's house specifically, she lives near the woods. So this is the sound of like crickets always being there. So these kind of senses help us pull back in our memory. So using music to pull on those senses in turn to bring those memories out to the forefront. So when you're watching, you're listening to that remastering of Kids, and now it's teens because they're older, and you know, and now our kids are teens and our teens are adults, and it's this progress of, you know, then that ties us into Landslide with Fleetwood Mac and how that's about aging and looking back on your life and reflecting as you age. And so having the kids to teens and then slide that into Landslide, I think did a good job in pulling those emotions as we went through that epilogue of the show. I mean, I was left with the feeling like the boot's gonna drop. There's a boot above my head. I can't see it, but I know it's there. Something else is going to happen. And I feel like that's how we ended up with this fucking conformity gate. But
what?
Okay,
I don't know
so what I keep talking about...
What is this? I have no idea.
I've been harassed through like my comments and my messages, and the harassment has gotten to a couple other creators. Sammy J put together a fairly even video about it where he was like, all right, I see your point, but this is kind of crazy. Basically, it's everybody is convinced that the last episode is not the last episode.
Oh my God.
And that so it's pretty much the same people that were like, there's all of these deleted scenes that they took out and Netflix screwed over the Duffer Brothers. And then the guy that plays the scientist in the show, the science teacher in the show, he put something on his Instagram story and was like, please stop listening to everything you hear on the internet. There is no extended cut that you're missing. Like, so now everybody's fully convinced because that poster that they put out of the D&D game at the end, and then the dice roll is a 7, and then Will said I rolled a 7, and then there's 7 seconds for the thunder.
You guys gotta calm down, please.
No, they took it so far for the 7s. Like the 7 seconds thing was like there were so many 7s, and I'm like, we're not doing the Horcruxes in Harry Potter again. Like we're not going down this rabbit hole. But they are convinced that is not the end. That there is another, that on January 7th. This episode will be coming out after that, but...
Are you serious?
Yeah, they're convinced that on January 7th there's going to be something else coming out, so...
Are you going to ask me if
No,
there's
because I'm
coming?
judging you based off of your thing. I think, you know, you agree that it's kind of silly, but...
Or it's a front.
Yeah, or it's a front. I mean, you are media trained. You are media trained, and you're smiling a bit much. You've been hiding your face with that hat this whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the camera.
Yeah.
Look him in the eye.
There's nothing. But if there was, then I didn't work on it. So.
Yeah, our hands are tied anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that documentary that's coming out, that was super exciting to see that trailer this morning. None of us, I didn't expect.
What is this?
There's a behind the scenes documentary coming out about the production of it.
That's
and
cool.
it's just a lot of scenes of them at the table readings primarily is what it is.
Gotcha.
And just the Duffer Brothers talking about their decisions. And
Nice.
And basically the insinuation in the trailer is like how they came to Elle's ending. So then that brings me to Purple Rain, because like I said before, I love the rain, and I do not mind that it's been rainy since I've been here in Los Angeles. And I was listening to Purple Rain on Venice Beach, squatting underneath a lifeguard stand, sheltering from the rain. And it was a wonderful cry. I had a great time.
Great cry.
I feel like I'm still emotionally processing that in. Just every time I hear that song, that feeling gets brought up all over again. And I'm like, my heart, it hurts. I'm in pain. It's breaking. Cut my chest open. It'll hurt less. So I guess, I mean, what can you tell us about Purple Rain and what went behind that? And because, I mean, that song itself is about apocalyptic love, and that love itself throughout everything. Love is what gives you hope.
Yeah, I really, again, that was like all these like music choices, Nora, like that's all her and stuff. But I remember finding, the one thing that I could say about it is I remember finding that out for the very first time. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like,
Yeah.
this is going to be like I think this is like the song for like the whole season. Like, you know how we've been talking about Running Up the Hill for like, or like the Kate Bush track and like the Metallica track in season 4, like every season has like that song.
Yeah.
And I felt like all of the Prince stuff that was going to be like that song of season 5. And I had like a few friends and like my family members, so I mentioned are like huge fans of the show. They were like, what's the song? Like, what's the new song for the season? And I'm like, I ain't telling you shit.
It gives a lot away. I mean, the song really does. If you pay enough attention to it, it gives a lot away. Malia, did you have a favorite song on the soundtrack? Was there something that, even a couple of them, that still sit in your head and rattle around?
I mean, there's the obvious like 80s songs that were included, but like even just the background songs, I don't know, the soundtrack, the original soundtrack was just so amazing. I was re-listening to it today. There was one song. Oh gosh.
I'll pull it up because I don't remember names either, and I'm going to put you on the spot like that.
One, it was called like Star with two R's.
Star, yeah.
That one, I liked that one. There was another one that had like piano in it. And I was like, whoa, why do you have piano? It's so different from all the other ones.
Is that out on Spotify?
I think the soundtrack came out on Spotify like on New Year's Day.
Yeah,
okay. So yeah, I guess furthering our questions about Purple Rain, how do you feel personally about how this reflects Mike and Elle's story? And do you think it has anything to do with the ending that Mike gives us, that she is really there, that the song itself about Purple Rain being about with love breeds hope? Does the song itself give us hope that Elle is really alive, that Mike's story is true?
What do you guys think? Do you think Elle is alive or what?
What do you think?
I go back and forth. I honestly...
All right, so then what's like your alive? Like, okay, Elle is alive. Why do you think she's alive?
Why do I think she's alive?
I also don't know. I want to read her. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have my own interpretation.
There is an answer.
Though.
This is fucking Inception. Did the top stop spinning or did it fall over? There is no answer.
Yeah.
I think if she is alive, just the saddest part to me is that like Hopper and him don't know. Or like she hasn't come back to them. She probably never will.
I care more about Hopper than I do, but I feel more for Hopper than I do Mike.
He lost
your children.
Daughters.
Yeah.
Okay, and then why do you think she died? Or what makes you think that she died?
I'm just like, yeah, she died.
Yeah.
They had to kill someone.
Yeah.
It might like life or death stakes.
Right.
There has to be at least one. Oh, and Collie. Sorry. She died.
Shout out Collie.
Yeah.
Shout out Collie.
Big shout out to Collie, who got so much unnecessary hate. Everybody was so dead set that she was this evil villain, and everybody was like, she's the mind flayer. She's been the mind flayer this whole time. And I'm like, I think somebody that showed up for a few minutes in one episode 5 seasons ago is not going to become such an integral part of the plot in the end. But I do appreciate that she did have a role to play. Clearly, she was there for Elle's development, because Elle's development was a very big part of this season 5. And I think a lot of people, there's an argument to be made about, did Elle get the Game of Thrones ending where the female main character is snuffed for the male main character? But I think we felt that people generally felt that way after Volume 1, Volume 2. But I think after we got the finale, I don't know that argument still holds the same amount of water because it did end with Elle. It did center around her. I think I was just hoping for... Everybody just kept talking about the connection between why Elle showed up the same night Will disappeared. That's still something that I think lingers in the back of my mind of I thought that was going to roll back around because they did show up on the same, leave and show up on the same day. I wanted there to be more of a tie between Elle and Will's stories, that they pulled on each other like invisible strings. But I kind of went on a little tangent there about my emotions and feelings. But... As far as Elle being alive or not, I believe it, but I also believe the top kept spinning. So, that's just the world that I choose to live in, and that's kind of how I make my choice. It's because that's the world that I want to live in, and that's kind of just it for me. So I enjoyed it, but even the conversations about Elle being in the same color palette as she was when Mike first saw her, and I'm like, oh my God, this is what the kids were wearing, and the fact that they turned around and you saw their face, and this is all over again. Yeah. But I think that, and then the people talking about how the lab blew up first, and then it wouldn't have been, and I'm like, listen, that's not how storytelling works, the whole thing. So I don't think that did anything to it. I think that it sits. I think that his vision of the microphones was his connection, that it worked.
What about like the whole, like, I think I've seen a few TikToks about it, but the shot of her looking at the waterfalls and there's only 2.
That's what I thought. And then someone was like, well, if you replay it, there's actually 2, and then there's these 2, so it makes 3.
But no one imagines like 2 waterfalls here and 1 over here, like in a romantic, I don't know, setting or something.
To me, I took that as it was real. I took that as if it was Mike's storytelling, we would have had 3 of the most perfect little waterfalls next to one another. Yeah. And it would have been the actual visualization of what he was saying that entire time. Like, we would have gotten the word into visual of what Mike was talking about on that roof. And that's not what we got. It was different than that. And so in that sense was where I hold that it's real, because it was slightly different, that Elle tried to find it and she found the reality version of it.
Right. Okay. Another question for the both of you.
Yeah.
Do you really think Kali had like a change of mind just because Hopper and Elle had that conversation?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like Kali to me is like a very like stubborn, like like blinders and just that one thing. And I don't think that she can have a change of heart like that in that quick of a time.
Because I feel like the way that her beliefs were cemented from what she saw and what she experienced, I don't think, as much as I love Hopper, I don't think something like that could just switch it.
No, Kali and Hopper like hate each other.
Yeah.
Deeply.
Yeah.
Like Hopper didn't even pick her up. Like
that I laughed.
She's like, yeah.
I was like, oh, did we really just do that?
Yeah,
like,
Hopper is like, fuck yeah, I don't give a shit.
I'm like, I guess you can only carry 1, but I was like, damn, I can't.
No, you could carry 2. Like, I'm sure he's carried 2 people in like the war that he.
Yeah, this is Titanic. Only one of us can fit on the door.
Kali's like 3 feet tall too, compared to like.
But then it was the like comparison to that guard coming in and a kitten, a 2-pound kitten, picking her up by her scruff.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm like, yeah, you could have picked her up.
Yeah,
you were fine. I think that's a valid point, that she was very cemented in her beliefs, that one conversation. I mean, the conversation was moving. As an audience member, I loved the hell out of it, but and even just it's not even a specific sound. It's just the tone, the little, like we're talking about all these specific music, the specific songs, a word I'm looking for, but even just in the tone of every single scene, there's music, there's something, there's an audio besides just the clamoring of the upside down and the people talking. There was sound behind that scene making us cry. I don't know as many of us would have cried if there wasn't that sound back there. So can you say anything to that?
Yeah, it's crazy how much music this show has. Like comparing it to just any movie, like a 2-hour movie or something. There's like, I was like telling my family that like, you know, just between 4 or 5 people, we've like done, I don't know, hours worth of music.
Yeah.
But then if you watch like not a regular TV show, but just like any other TV show, there's like minute-long breaks in between music and score. There's like the amount of music Stranger Things has like per episode, it's wall to wall. Like there's, no matter if it's like a 2-minute cue or like a 30-second or even a 10-second thing, there's just always music. And contributing to that was really like full circle for me, because I think I mentioned earlier, big fan of Stranger Things before I started working on it. And then I was also a huge fan of Kyle and Michael's band Survive. And that's the band that they got like discovered by. Like I think the Duffers hit them up because they like wanted to use their band's music as like a pitch, or in their pitch to Netflix, and that's how they got it. But yeah, they did a great job creating like, I don't know, certain sound palettes per realm or like per setting.
Yeah.
Like I think one of the new settings in season 5 that we were all trying to like figure out how would this sound like was like the Abyss. Where like the monster, you know, like the Mind Flayer, Spider Monster, whatever you want to call it is. So that was a new setting that they were figuring out, as well as like the whole melty room thing with Nancy and Jonathan. That
But the
thing,
melting,
yeah,
yes.
that was another like time, like the whole dimension, time travel, like memory. Like we called it, I think, what did we call it? We called it like Memory Land. Like Henry's like that house and everything's like so, you know, pretty and all that.
Yeah. Memory Land's a good word.
Yeah, like we were coming up with like all these like terminologies when we were coming up with like, oh, we gotta like find the sound palette for this setting and this setting. So that was a really fun process. And of course, like again, like they have like 4 seasons worth of music, so they were able to, you know, kind of have that influence. We were able to find like parallels and similarities between these new settings in the old seasons, and also make it new and like refreshing for, again, like the fans and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a specific scene for you that just hit for you emotionally? Like maybe aside from like Purple Rain, but like a scene that like really hit for you emotionally that still lingers?
I really liked the scene that you just brought up with Nancy and Jonathan.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Because, oh my gosh, I could be completely wrong and completely off base, but I feel like they brought up Eulogy, like that song, into that scene.
I think they did.
I think
Kyle, Michael, if you're watching this, don't hate me, but I think
Don't hate me
they
either,
definitely Michael, I think, yeah, they definitely brought up like a theme towards the end of that whole. I think we called it like Unproposal is what we call that scene, and I think that was like, it was tough because it's a very long dialogue driven scene.
We were there for a minute.
Yeah, we were there for a while.
And there was multiple emotions that you had to go through. There was a roller coaster in that room itself of, oh my God, we're going to die. What are we going to do? And then the breaking up of this. I mean, the fact that people did not understand that they broke up.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Difficult.
I like when I saw that on TikTok and social media that like, oh, what are they doing? Are they still together? I'm like, they're clearly not together anymore.
I thought immediately clicked for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that the soundtrack did a good job of reflecting that, but I think there's a lot of emotional intelligence behind being able to, because the main point was that they said, I love you. And there was the feeling of love in that soundtrack where you're left with that kind of, I mean, I recognize the feeling of that, to love someone, to let them go, embodied in a song of like the separation and the missing, but also the relief at the same time. So there was still that positive feeling of relief that almost feels like there was a resolution. There was a resolution. We broke up. There is relief in that. And I think people took that a different way. Yeah. And then comes Steve, save the day and everything. And the ring plops on the hardened ground. I mean, I thought I don't think it was too long. I think that the scene being as long as it was gave the time that it needed.
I think so too. And I think like what I've learned from working on a show this high of a caliber and like seeing the fans and stuff, like people are just gonna nitpick like little things and then make their own conclusion, and no matter how wrong they could be, like
I call them crusaders without a cause. People
wow, that's a good
feel
one.
Very passionately about things that they are not educated enough to feel that passionately about.
Yeah, that's a good that's a good term.
We love an opinion is an opinion. Everybody is entitled to their opinion every single day of the week except on Tuesdays. But it can still veer into, okay, you have an opinion, but now you're just completely negating all of these things to still have your opinion, and that's valid. Maybe I'm negating all of these facts in front of me, and just my opinion is that Elle's alive. That's my choice, and that's my choice to live in the world that I want to live in. I get that, but I don't know. There are some things that people can start to pick up on and maybe pay a little bit more attention in English class.
Yeah, I think honestly, my favorite part of like the release of Volume 1, Volume 2, and the finale being like spread out was just like seeing all the theories from Volume 1 and like just like me like withholding so much information. Like I was so tempted to be like, no, you're wrong, or like, good job, you're right, but I like didn't do that. And just like even my family's like my sister's theories, and like she was like, Steve's gonna die, I know it, and I'm like, probably.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Love beating him up.
Yeah, and when we were watching the finale in the theater, and when like Steve like falls and like from the tower,
he's there for
I like
so long.
grab my sister. I'm like, I'm sorry, and she's like, no, and then like the scene pops up.
That's perfect. That you
my
really
mom
made her believe it.
My mom too.
That is the sibling opportunity of a lifetime to hold on to that moment, waiting for it.
Literally, the best part of working on this show is like knowing everything that happens and not telling my sister.
Yeah.
Like I think because I was working in between my place in LA and then my family's place in the Valley, and I would work on these scenes and stuff, and I'd be watching them all the time, and like I'd hear like footsteps like in front of my door, and I would just like play screams even louder to make them think that like something crazy is going on.
Terrifying.
Yeah, to like really
help, the murder is
literally
escaping.
like to really like scare the shit out of like my mom and my sister. And they were like, what's happening, who's dying? I'm like, I don't know. Someone's dying.
Everyone, actually.
Everyone, actually. Yeah, exactly.
Half of the universe. This is Thanos.
Yeah.
He's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Game of Thrones. Everyone's going to die.
Red Wedding, actually. I just kind of jump ship on this conversation a smidge and talk about YouTube ambiance. Stranger Things will soon be a very popular YouTube ambiance. As somebody who just keeps that shit running in my house all the time, so there's never quiet. And you also mentioned that you love Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is my favorite fandom of all time. So Lord of the Rings is normally what's on the TV. I just love sitting in Hobbiton, just immersing myself in that world. So now we have that with Stranger Things.
Yeah.
But I think with Lord of the Rings, I can kind of sit in Hobbiton in peace and happy and joy.
For sure.
It's going to take me a while to work through these deeply sad emotions to be able to enjoy this soundtrack in peace.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same, if there's still emotions lingering or if you're still processing.
I don't know. I've listened to this past season 5 soundtrack, and I don't know if it's just because like I can detach them or something, but they do. It sounds different in my head than watching it, because I guess like watching it is subconsciously playing.
Yeah.
Like I can hear it, but listening to it is completely different, because I feel like I miss so many beautiful soundtracks and tracks that I was just like so invested in the scene that I was like, oh wait, there's music.
Yeah.
Let me listen real quick.
Yeah.
So it's fun going back and listening to that. Were there any like moments or scenes that you really loved working on, or like you had your flair added into it?
I think I talked about it before we started recording, but like my most things when we were working on scenes and stuff throughout the season, like I thought that I would be able to like understand like the lighthearted scenes more, just because like I don't know, I watch a lot of lighthearted things and I like lighthearted synth music, or you know, kind of just positive music in general. That's a lie. I listen to a lot of like goth and you know,
That's great.
all horror music too, but in reality, like I felt like, and my bosses felt like I was able to understand the shape and like the whole setting of like these horror suspense scenes. So to answer your question, like one of the two was the scene when in episode 3, when Elle is going through what's his name, Acres, like his mind,
Yes.
and like she's going through the lab, and then she sees like the vault and stuff. That scene was really awesome to work on because it's like just suspense the whole entire time. And then like Akers is yelling like, get her out of my head, get her out of my head.
Yeah.
And then like Hopper's like rushing to see like what's going on. Like that whole scene was awesome because it has suspense, it has like mystery, and it also has a little bit of pace at the end because Hopper's like, oh shit, like what happened with Elle. Another one was the whole cave scene when Holly and Max do their whole Goonies thing, and then they find the shaft or like the mine like cave thing or whatever, and sees Henry's memory of, I think he's like a scientist or some government scientist. And like some fucking guy with a gun and a briefcase. But that whole thing was really, that was probably I think the most challenging, because you just have to keep you have to, as like a team, we have to like figure out how to keep this long stretch of this scene as suspenseful, and we call it like a pressure cooker. Keeping that pressure up and maintaining that without it being like monotonous.
Yes.
And then like, you know, you have to keep that going until you see young Henry, and then like the whole gunshot, and then the whole like rock to the head and stuff.
Yeah.
So those were the two scenes that I was really like hyped on. And then like I think my two favorite like cues that Michael and Kyle just like really, like as a fan of their music, it was like it hit me, was the preparation scene of them. I think it was episode 3 too, of them doing the whole like Home Alone like trap, the Demogorgon trap. Like that cue is so sick from like a music fan standpoint. Like I felt like that track was very Stranger Things. And then also the Will the Wizard track when Will gets like his powers. That whole
amazing,
that whole cue is just so sick. And then also like when I was talking about sound palette and like new settings, I think the other one that I thought was really cool was the sounds around the wall.
Yeah.
Like those were new settings that they needed to explore and figure out, and they did just a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely seeing new sides, not just new sides of the Upside Down. A lot of people were questioning how they've never come across that wall before. And I kind of just always attribute it to they just never traveled that far.
Yeah.
I just was like, they just never went to that side of town.
Don't ask me. I have no idea.
Yeah, that was, just to kind of bring that up because I know people have been wondering about it. But I mean, just the different settings that we went to in the scene where Elle's in the soldier's head is just, that was so suspenseful. And hearing you, call it a pressure cooker made a lot of sense, especially for a scene that's going to be longer. It helps. I mean, the soundtrack is what helps the pacing of the show.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's a single off note will pull somebody out of the immersion, and then that throws the pacing off. So keeping that pressure cooker up, that was really interesting to hear about.
Even as someone who was like watching it for the first time, like I was like, who's behind that door? Like, who is it? Henry? Is it? I didn't know that it was gonna be like Kali until I watched it, obviously. But like it was suspenseful for me the first time I watched it. So it's like trying to recreate that suspense and make it even more, like even make it hit bigger for like the fans and stuff. Because like now knowing that it is Kali, you have to like really make it like you have to like make it think that it's not her. Almost. You're kind of like playing a trick on, you have to like remember to like unsee what you saw so you can like recreate that suspense again.
Put yourself in the mind frame of the viewer and where they would be viewing the scene at the moment. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Are you sick of Running Up the Hill? Are you sick of any of the songs?
No, I mean, I'm not even sick of like the show. Like my friends were asking me like, are you sick of watching it and stuff? Like, did you even watch it? And I was like, yeah, of course I watched it. Because, like, again, I'm a fan of the show. And also, when you're working on it, everything is sort of like, every episode is intertwined with one another. And then also, like, VFX. Like, there's certain things that weren't done yet. Yeah. There's wire sticking out of like people and stuff. There's people in green suits and shit. So like seeing it, and then as like from like an audio perspective and a music perspective, we don't know how loud the music's going to be in comparison to like the sound design. And so seeing it and watching it fully fleshed out, and again with the music like in between the score, it's great. And to answer your question, no, I'm not sick of it.
Amazing. Yeah, as you should be.
I actually have a playlist. Like before the show came out, I had like a private playlist, and I like had like my own code, like hashtag $, just like really just random gibberish. Put that shit on private, and I had like the Upside Down track by Diana Ross. I had I Think I'm Alone Now track. Like I had all the, like I still listen to those songs. So
what was the one? It's Cold Here I Could Die. What did When It's Cold.
By Moby.
That song.
Yeah.
That one really sits. I feel like when I listen to that song, I think about Henry. He's it's cold. I don't want to do this anymore. I am miserable. This world sucks. The fact that Henry in the end was like, no, I stand by my choices. I would do it again if given the chance. I was like, I was really hoping for some redemption, but you have never felt love in your life. So that's what our difference here is that Will has felt love. So he knows that there's love in the world and you have not. So that poor kid.
I know. I feel like Henry, just in general, like, what's the actor's name? Jamie Campbell Bower or something. I honestly think he really like, I think he did such a good job this season. Like he carried the season. So like, I don't know.
Yeah, he was my top actor on that.
And what's her name? Nell Fisher. She was amazing.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about Delightful Derek.
Oh. No,
he's so
I love
sweet.
Him so much.
Also, can't get over the fact that he was telling people he was in a mayonnaise documentary to avoid the position that you were in of people hounding him.
I should have just kept saying that.
Yeah. That was hilarious. Mayonnaise documentary. People have no follow-up questions about mayonnaise.
I knew that he was going to be like a fan favorite from the second I saw him. I was like, I cannot wait for like Halloween like 2026 because people are going to just dress up like him
striped with shirts.
And like the hair and like those are scenes that I was really like I was like laughing working on like the whole like Turnbow Farm sequence in episode 4 when he's like running away and then he's like on top of that like second level like little thing in the farm, and he says that for the very first time, or I don't know how many times he said it.
He said it a lot.
He said it a lot, and also just him saying it again in the finale right to Henry's face and flipping him off.
He really did become a
He's
hero.
the hero.
He turned
He's
back
the hero.
and saved Holly. He didn't just be like, thanks for saving me, bye. Like,
I know.
He saved her. Like, that was a wonderful moment.
When Holly was like, you guys have to believe in me, and he like had his little turn on her, I was like, no,
Derek, you were so close.
You're so close.
But like, I understand.
But I understand because that other guy, that other kid, that other really mean kid, I forgot his name already.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking
the
about.
The one who like pushed Holly down the stairs and was like,
oh my god, yeah.
I saw that and I was like, holy
that
shit.
kid had a lot of fun.
Turning around.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was your best friend, but okay.
No, seriously.
Clocked that kid.
Those kids were really cool. Like, they were really entertaining this season.
I feel like they had a lot of fun.
Oh, it looked.
Like,
I would have had so
what?
much fun. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've talked about it a few times so far. Synesthesia is something that I am just beyond fascinated with, and just the effect that it can have. And I mean, literally, you can hear stuff and then taste something. And even one of the ones that I'm super fascinated by is mirror synesthesia. So like, if you are seeing me touch her on the shoulder, you would feel a touch on the shoulder. Mm-hmm. I think that one's fascinating. Wow. But generally, also, Cynthia Erivo has synesthesia. I thought that was cool, and now all I want is a Wicked from Cynthia Erivo's point of view. I want to see what she saw the whole time from her brain, from her perception of the world. So I guess, how much of an effect do you think that this has, you know, even from people that don't get to experience this kind of condition, this kind of perception upon the world? Do you, learn from that? Do you pull from that? Do you try and imagine what that would feel like? Or do you pull from emotions in a different way to try and implement that into your work?
I mean, I think, to me at least, like, I feel like electronic music with, like, just specifically, like, 80s sort of, like, sounding synthesizers and stuff. Like, I feel like it's really easy for anyone to, like, picture a color or, like, picture something, because it's so, like, I don't know, like the bleeps and bloops, and it's so, like, I don't know, atmospheric. It could be, like, I don't know. I think it's, for me, I think, I'm pretty sure, like, the whole music team in general pulled from other visual aspects, and probably, like, I honestly, sometimes composing music blind to a scene is also helpful, because, I feel like on the editing standpoint, like, certain like sounds and motifs and, like, shapes in, like, a song could really wouldn't fit necessarily to a scene, and it could also be like a, I don't know, like, what do you call, like, a contradiction?
Yes.
I feel like that could also, like, help in certain, like, I don't know, some certain scenes and stuff. But I feel like, for me, and I was talking about it earlier, even, like, stepping away from the show, now that I've, like, worked on, like, a project with, like, visual aspects constantly, I can't really it's, like, tough. It's actually harder for me to make music without any sort of visual influence. Because now whenever I, like, listen to something, even in the car, like, I could picture not just certain colors, but just, like, certain, like, I don't know, actions, like, as if, like, something was in a movie.
Yeah. And
so now when I, like, produce and write my own music, I have, like, my favorite movies or favorite, like, scenes from favorite movies to sort of influence me write. Like, the two TikToks that I have of, like, scoring certain scenes from movies that came out were from Twilight and The Lighthouse. And you know, I don't do that because I think that the score was lacking at all. Like I love the score in The Lighthouse, and I also love the soundtrack in Twilight. But those ideas that I did for those TikToks have become now fully fleshed out songs.
Yeah.
And it just stems from something as simple as like a scene from a movie. And so I think like just in general, like, you know, I think there's a lot of artists and creatives that like, there's always something that can influence you away from like the medium that you're like, I don't know, working with constantly, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that answered your question. I kind of just went on like a ramble.
No,
a little bit.
No, it definitely did, and that sent me my brain on another thing. When I went out to it's not Forks, but I went out to Washington, into the town that was based on Twilight, and I got to be there. But I met this absolutely wonderful person who I would just love to take the opportunity to shout out. Her name is Cherish. Her last name is spelled Danae, and she makes music not for Twilight, but she crafted and sung and wrote songs inspired by Twilight, and Stephanie
awesome.
Myers has put her on her website. Like her and
shit.
Stephanie Myers are like cool and friends and shit. Like they're super
That's
cool.
so sick.
So I mean, her music behind Stranger Things, Silence, Edward's Soliloquy, I think is like really, really cool. But she's interesting for you to check her out.
Yeah,
and,
definitely check
you
her
know,
out.
see if your ideas, how you felt about Twilight, taking it home, and how you felt comparing that, I think would be
That'd be
interesting.
fun. Yeah. Definitely.
No, but that's cool to take that from a movie. I guess, what do you have to say on the topic? I guess as far as visuals behind song and putting that in how you see song behind the world.
I mean, music to me has always been so emotional. Like it really tugs at me. So even from when I was a little kid, if I heard live music or if I heard something that really like hit me, because it would be so overwhelming, because I would see colors and like shapes that would kind of like go along with it. So my older sister loves the song Eulogy, and she was like, you just need to listen to it on your own, like just listen to it. So I was like, okay, I guess I hadn't listened to it, and when I was listening to it, immediate tears immediately, because I just saw like stained glass, and it was just so beautiful and all these colors, and it, you know, it's really interesting how music can like also lead into like memory recall, and
Oh, absolutely.
how that can blend together
Yeah.
with, I think that's really interesting. So I love the music in this season, so thank you for working on it.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's beautiful. We've really enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
what do you look forward to doing in the future? What's the next steps for you?
Next steps. Yeah. I mean, we talked about it when I got here, but definitely like there's nothing else that I want to do more than do this. I think, I mean, it's always been like a dream of mine to like work on TV or like make music for TV and film. Just because like my influences, just like my bosses, like before they were my bosses, they were huge influences of mine in college, along with Daniel Chavez, who makes music under One of Tricks Point Never, who does a score for Uncut Gems and Good Time and Marty Supreme, and then like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who are, you know, they're Nine Inch Nails, but they make music for a bunch of movies now. Like that whole trajectory of like being in bands and then making music for film and TV is exactly what I want to do. And it's just kind of crazy that I'm like, that I did that a little bit to a certain degree, you know? So those are definitely the next steps of just keeping this as, you know, trying to get more work and stuff. And I haven't played shows for my like solo stuff in a very long time. So I'm hoping to do that again. Pretty much just like scoring stuff as much as I can.
Yeah.
I actually have a little self promotion here.
Florida Explorers, we'd love to hear it.
If you're based in LA, a short, like an animated short film that my friend Connor animated and directed, and I did the sound design and score for. It's called Clementine. I think they're showing it at Silver Lake Shorts on the 9th. I think it's on the 9th. So go to that.
Yeah.
I'll be there. You can ask me Stranger Things questions in person if you want.
Yes. Amazing. No, that's awesome. thank you so much for being here and chatting with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking
This
the
was so
time.
much fun. I'm glad that we were able to like talk about stupid fan theories online.
Air out our feelings after all of that, because
Yeah.
that was incredibly intense. Do you have any final thoughts, feelings to add?
Thanks for letting me join. I was
Yeah.
excited to just watch you two talk, but
Oh my God.
Yeah, no.
I could
Happy
be
to have you.
here.
Happy
Yeah.
to have my friends here with me. But yeah, this, I guess, is not the end of the episode. There will be more. We have been running surveys off of my TikTok page where we got people's feelings after volume 2 and now the finale as well. So also check out my page. I'm probably going to write a research paper for shits and giggles if anybody cares enough to read it. I don't care if you do or not. I'm probably going to do it anyway. This is where you can find everybody on the internet. We have Daniel here. Where can we find you?
I'm everywhere. TikTok and Instagram, and you can check out all of that and follow me under my name, Daniel Chavez Cook.
Amazing. Thank you. Malia, for your phenomenal humor that I am amazed by every single day. Where can we get a good laugh out of you?
Okay, I'm on TikTok and Instagram, Supreme Aaliyah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I'm Scorpio Mars on every platform with 3 S's at the end. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.